In this video, I'm going to have kind of a general discussion on what the Russians called the TT-33 Tokarev pistol. And I have three variants of that gun there that are not Russian, but they're very common on the surplus market. And I'm going to do a general discussion, show you these three variations from the three different countries, and talk about, there's also some sub-variations. And yes, this is a CZ52, and the reason that is in there is it's not so much going to be the history or operation of these pistols, but surplus gun collecting and how it changes over time and how these different things all fit in together. This is a communist block gun. It is in the 7.62 by 25 caliber, which these four are, these are not. And I'm going to talk about surplus availability to 7.62 by 25 also, and that's what kind of ties it in. Okay, so the Russians developed this pistol. The TT-30 was the first one. They modified it during production and ended up with the TT-33, or which most people call the Tokarev pistol. It's a basic kind of a modification of a Browning design. It operates very similar to the 1911. In other words, what happens is when you pull the slide back, the barrel is locked up into the slide and battery, and it has this slide release which goes through a pivot point on underneath the barrel. Okay, and it swings down. If you watch the barrel, see the barrel drops out of battery, much like a 1911. Has a bushing where you have to compress the spring and everything like a 1911 to get it to operate. The thing is, the original cartridge was very similar to the 30 Mauser. See, there's two bottlenecked 7.62 cartridges that were used in handguns. One was a 30 Luger, and one I believe was a 30 Mauser. They're a lot less powerful than what the Russians did. Is the Russians took one of those cartridges and souped it up. And because in a more modern gun, more modern design in submachine guns, it was used as a submachine gun round, probably still to this day in some countries, but it's a super powerful cartridge that goes in there, okay? And that's what brings us to our CZ52, which is a totally different gun, but was designed about the same time in the late 50s, using the 7.62 by 25, 8-shot magazine. This gun uses, much like an MG42, a roller lug system. Okay, like on the HK pistols. A very unusual pistol, unique pistol. Again, I think it's another 8-shot. This one does have a safety on it. Let me see if it has a half cock. No, this pistol does not have a half cock. Okay, so when you load it and it's ready, you got the safety. That's it. And there she goes. And the only other thing too, we'll take in this part and that, but this pistol has your heel magazine release. Okay. Which I kind of don't prefer. This one here ain't too bad to get to if you got to change the mag. But all of these T-33 styles have a button release, mag release, just like the 1911, the Colt designs. Even little subcompact jobs have a mag button. Now this pistol, kind of unusual. I guess they say it was supposed to be designed as a 9mm, but they made them make it in the 7.62 by 25 for political reasons. They're a well-made gun. They're usual. When these things came out on the surplus market, and they came in over a period of years. They came with a holster and spare mag, cleaning rod, and that. You could pick this whole rig up. I don't think I paid $120 for this thing. Okay. Of course, that was 20 years ago. Now I don't know what these things are. They're out of sight. So back to our T-33s. Now that was a similar gun, but most communist bloc countries would manufacture whatever the Russians were in control half the world after World War II, when a lot of these countries would manufacture the older style Russian guns. The Russians were moving on to newer style weapons post-war, but Mosin-Nagant rifles and these pistols were manufactured by several different countries. And the countries that made them, okay, China number one. China copied whatever, they made Mosin-Nagants, the M44 carbines and that were cranked out by them, and these pistols. Now, China made them, and they have an M51 and M54, which this is what I recently picked up. This gun is, it says right on there, it's a Norinco. It says M54-1, 7.62 by 25 caliber, and ONT, Ontario, California, the main importer. This gun came out of an estate, and probably that person bought this gun 35 years ago. I remember when these things were quite common. I didn't buy guns back then because living in New York State, or I didn't buy handguns. I didn't buy a lot of foreign handguns in New York State because of the pistol permit thing and that. You know, it was a hassle. I'd have to go to a local shop, buy the gun, pay the man, get the sales receipt, serial number, then I have to go to the courthouse during courthouse hours, okay, which means I had to take time off from work, go down, present the receipt, get it transferred onto my permit from a dealer, a New York State dealer that was on their records, and then go back with the certificate after it was officially transferred to me and pick the gun up from the store. So I didn't collect a lot of handguns back in the heyday when these things came out. Plus, I wasn't too familiar with the design, and I just never got one back then when they were reasonable. I don't know what these things go for now. I know the price is high on all of these. Okay, but anyway, manufacturers. China manufactured M51, M54 we got here, M20, and I believe a TU-90. So probably some of these were, I know China made some of these in 9mm Luger, which probably are the M20s, and you do find them. They were kind of hard to find, but I seen a bunch of them on a gun broker with a pretty stiff tag on there. Hungary made them in 9mm, I believe. I'm not quite sure, but the M49 and the M58 they made just to export to Egypt, and the deal went south. So a lot of them, they call them, they got a name for them, but the ones slated made by Hungary to go to Egypt ended up on the surplus market. North Korea made it with a Type 68 or Model 68, North Korea. Pakistan makes them, both legal and illegal copies in the Khyber Pass region, so you'll find some from Pakistan. Poland made them, and they just call them an M33. Now, how you would tell the difference between a Polish gun and that, this Romanian one, let me see, it's a Romanian one. I think Poland, the arsenal is Circle 10, where this they don't have that on these. So Poland made one, it'd be an M33. Romania made one, and I have a Romanian example here. And I'll talk more about the safeties and that. But this one here It's kind of devoid of marking. It's got a date. I believe it was made in 1953 with serial number. And this model is TTC, and that's what it says. The Romanians call it the TT, and the C is for the arsenal, the name of the main arsenal in Romania, which begins with a C. So that's the actual designation of this. It's a TTC model. Vietnam made them in a K-54 and a K-14, which I believe was like a 14 or 15 shot version. Now, Yugoslavia has made several variations. I have one here. I have the Yugoslavian M57. And how this pistol is a little different. Instead of an 8-shot magazine, which is standard, this has a 9-shot magazine. Also, the Yugoslavian M57 will not fit into the standard T-33 size holsters, and the magazines are different. Okay. The Yugoslavs also made these in 9mm, M70A and the M88A, which is kind of like a civilian version of this. Also noted, the M70A, or the M70s, subcompact pistols, which I have 2 of them here, and I have done reviews. And the reason they are included in this is these little pistols, I don't believe they don't drop down. The barrels don't drop. So I think they're blowback operated. They don't lock. Okay? But the similarity between them is the hammer sear package is much just like the T-33 pistols on both of these little guns. This is the 32. And it comes apart kind of similar. You push in the bushing, rotate it around, get it back, get the lever out, and that pin locks in the barrel into the frame. And so it's a modified version. Some of the features in this gun are similar to the T-33, but not all. And this is a much rarer 380 version. Okay. Now, the main difference also between these guns and the T-33, so we'll discuss that first. First thing, the takedown. I'm not going to do a takedown, but you can go find videos. Probably there's hundreds of them out there. How these guns break down, very similar to the 1911. What you would do is depress the spring, rotate the bushing off, and relieve the pressure on the recoil spring. Then all of these T-33 Tokarev variants have this little, you have to slide this piece of sheet metal back. You can either use the mag or something, but you slide that back off this pin, and then that will let this come out and disconnect the barrel, and you can remove the slide. Okay? These little versions, they don't do that. Okay, stripping these down is quite similar, but you depress it, release the spring, but these just would push out. I think you might have to draw them back like 1911 and get it to a notch, and then it would slide out, like similar to a 1911. And then the hammer and sear assembly will come out just like T-33s. That's about the only similarity. Okay, and it has push button mag release, and the magazine lips are part of the mechanism that drops in and out, much like the T-33s. So, one major difference between this variation, and we're going to talk about the safety. So all of them have, as you can see, that lock to hold the slide release thing that also locks the barrel in place. Okay? And that is needed for field stripping. And if you notice, this one has this weird button. We're going to talk about the safeties here now. Okay, so now on this side, The original T-33 designs do not have a manual safety, but in order to import these into the United States, they must have some sort of a manual safety attached to them, and that goes anywhere from really terrible to whatever. But one thing is, originally how this gun was designed, okay, when you fire it, safety gun here, okay, say you loaded the chamber, okay, what you would have to do is this gun that's in the fired position, if you come back, hear that click, there's like a half cock, and that does lock. That's the way the gun was originally designed, the original Russian type. So if you loaded the chamber, what you would have to do is lower your hammer down to the half cock position, which is there. Okay, you don't hear the click, you just get your finger off the trigger and go down and hope it don't go off. And then you could holster it with a round in the chamber. The gun would not go off. What you would have to do is pull it out, cock the hammer, and then fire. Okay, that was how it was designed. But that design from the 1968 gun laws, all these guns have to have a manual safety regardless. So that kind of limited the importation of actual Russian ones after 1968. Now, in these little subcompact jobs, they do not have a half cock. Okay, it's either fire or cocked with these guns, and they do have this generously large safety lever here on the side, which operates like that. Now, these are not a military pistol. These pistols were made for law enforcement and police, so probably they were never really designed to be carried with a round in the chamber. I don't think crime during the communist days in any of those countries was big, and if it was, it really isn't much to draw out and, you know, get the gun ready to shoot. And you had a safety on there, on both of these. So no half cock on these. So this is not an exact copy or scaled down version. It is, you know, basically a civilian style gun. But interestingly, and there are probably other designs that copy the T-33 somewhat closely like this. Okay, so now let's zoom in a little. Okay, so now if you look at our pistols, we're going to talk about the different safeties. And they range everywhere. I don't have a Polish version, and yes, the ATF screwed up once and allowed a bunch of Russian ones to come in without the manual safeties installed, and this created a conundrum. So finding a Russian one without the safety is kind of rare, and I don't know if they did import some and apply a manual safety to them. Now, how that was done. Now we know this gun because of its date, was made in 1953. So this is long before that. And again, when communism fell and we were allowed to bring Romanian weapons in, this is after the 1968 ban. So they had to put some sort of safety on this gun. So what they did is they machined out a hole. Now a lot of people like to take these things off. And how this works is you push this lever up, the gun is on safe, you push the lever down, and the gun will fire. Okay? But they had to carve, they just drilled or machined a hole right through, and here's the other end of this lever. This lever goes completely through the frame, and this is how it rotates on this. And there's some kind of stud that it locks, detent or something there. So this one, now the Romanian pistol was a nice shape, it shoots well, I mean it's an accurate gun, but it has this ridiculous looking safety in a very unusual place, okay? I don't know, it's out of the way, but it looks like crap and a lot of people like to remove them. There's videos on removing them. I don't suggest doing that, because then you got a pistol with a giant hole through the frame, But I picked this gun up fairly reasonably. There's no crest or anything on the Romanian one. But like I said, it has a manufacture date down here with the serial number, and then the scroll was scribed on there. Pretty much, other than some stampings or arsenal markings, a triangle, and that's your importation mark here. Not much in terms of markings or anything like that. But still, it's a reliable gun. This gun functions well. It has functioned well over the years. And, you know, this is just one of the ones that got that funky safety on it. Now this one here is a Norinco, Chinese, and this gun is marked model 54-1, whatever that means for all you experts. It has a humongous serial number on it here on the frame, which does not match the barrel in that, so I don't know if this was a parts gun or whatever, but like I said, it came out of an estate, so somebody bought this thing like probably 35 years ago. The fellow that brought it out of the, bought the stuff from the estate. There was a couple other guns, there was this, and there was some ammo, but the only ammo they had for this gun was in the mag, and it was 5 rounds of Winchester. It wasn't even military ammo. Okay. Now the interesting thing about these guns is the safety on this Norinco is a little bit different. It's a bit more well made. They had to attach 2 screws as stops, and the lever, you know, functions quite well, and the safety does work. You know, it is marked S. There's only an S here, so when you got it on S, it won't fire. You go back to where it's not on S, and it fires. So the safety compared to others, and I'll explain why, is pretty good. You can manipulate it. It's pretty solid. It's on there. It's not flimsy, or it's not too, you know, obnoxiously sticking out. It's not that terrible of a safety. I forget how, I don't have a Polish example, okay, but this one is not too terrible, all right? And I haven't shot this gun yet, and actually the Romanian gun is like brand new, tight, matching, where this one, I don't think it is. The serial number on the barrel isn't even close to this, so I don't know what this is. This could have been one of the ones the Chinese, when the band was coming, was just shoving them together to get them done. This really has no other markings or anything on it. But still, the Chinese examples, Norincos, they are a collector's item. They do have some value to them. Okay? There's our magazine. There. Now, we will move on to the Yugoslav M57. Now, this one here is nice. I bought this from, I think, the old Western Scrounge. This does have the crest on it, which is a nice add-on. You can get them with or without. It is clearly marked M57, 7.62 millimeter. You see, serial number matches on this one. This one's nice. Couple proof marks. Proof mark on the barrel. Now this particular one, the Yugoslav one, has a 9-round mag in it. So your standard mags ain't going to fit. I don't know how hard it is to find magazines. I got 2 for this gun, and that's all I'm going to go with. And again, it is, you know, your standard T-33. But the thing about this one, the safety is this flimsy little piece of sheet metal that when I took the gun apart, the thing just fell off. And what they did is they cut out a notch in the mechanism. So when you pull this thing up, I believe that will keep it. No, up ain't doing it. So when you push this thing down, yep, that's your safe. What that does, that little flimsy piece of sheet metal drops down. They cut a notch into the trigger bar and locks it, which, you know, down, it's in a position, it's not a very reliable thing, and I think it's riveted to the frame or something. It's some kind of really weird, the thing just about fell off. It wouldn't be too difficult to take this off after you remove the grips. Getting it out of there wouldn't be too hard. But, and if you did it, it would not leave any noticeable trace of a hole. Like with the Romanian one, if you pull the safety out, you got a giant hole, you know, about 3/8 of an inch going through the frame, where this one ain't too bad. But the only thing about that safety, I have shot this gun, but see where it's positioned, drop the slide, you can inadvertently put the safety on, or you just have to be flicking it up all the time in order to get it to shoot. This gun here, they came in recently, about a year or two ago. I got this, the old Western Scrounge had some, and you had to pay a little more. They weren't like the 15-year ago price, but it's a good gun. It fits into the collection well. You know, there's another variation of these guns. Now, I'll cover ammo too. This is another strange thing. The ammunition for these guns used to be plentiful. I mean, this stuff was all over the place, and it was like $8 for an 80-round box or something, or maybe $10, and you got these cartons that had 80 rounds in there, military corrosive ammo. It was highly plentiful and all over the place for these pistols, so they were a bargain to shoot, you know. Now that's changed, and all of a sudden, I'm not quite sure, it was during the Obama administration, all of a sudden, and when I called the different retailers and said, you know, do you have any of these 6.2 by 25? They go, oh yeah, we got a whole warehouse full of it. You know, this stuff was dirt cheap. All of a sudden, it just dried up. And I went to a gun show, and of course this is where you get these stories. I never did quite figure out what happened or why that ammunition was not brought in. Someone told me that an individual somewhere bought all the supplies up the corner of the market. But that makes no sense since this stuff was plentiful. I believe that somehow this ammunition was put in on one of them international treaties that is throughout Europe and done by the UN, where countries cannot sell this ammunition, or they actually have an organization that takes money and will buy it or kind of force them to sell it to them for it to be destroyed, so it can't be used readily in a lot of these guns. I believe that's what's happened. Right now, SG Ammo has some Romanian ammunition, and he charges you, like, if you get the ammunition made in the 60s, which is about 55 years ago, it's X amount of round, like say 35. If you want ammunition from the 70s, it's like 45 or 50 cents a round, and if you want ammunition made in the 80s, it's 75 cents a round. Okay, because honestly, ammunition that is 50, 60 years old is not that reliable. Okay, so now they got you over the barrel like this. You want halfway decent ammo that you know will go off, now it's up 75 cents a round. Like I said, I was buying 80 rounds for $8. You figure that out, okay? So, you can get brand new brass, reloadable brass. Starline makes it for these guns. I have not yet reloaded them. I do have a set of dies, but I just never got around to reloading, and I don't shoot these guns that often anymore, and I still have a supply of surplus ammo left. And until that runs out, then I'll have to go and start reloading. But as we all know right now, reloading anything, no matter how common the caliber, you can't get components for it. So that's another thing. But that's my general look at our Tokarev style pistols. There's a lot of them out there. It's just the price has gone up. They are kind of collectible. I got 3 of them. About the only other ones I could get is I could probably get some Hungarian ones, or get the M78 and M88 variations in 9. It had 3 different Yugoslav pistols. I believe those are still readily available. The Romanian ones do pop up from time to time. The Polish ones, when they came on the market years ago, anything the Poles make is very high quality, and it's sold out, and they have a premium on them. If you do find them, somebody's going to want some money for them. But, you know, the Romanians, and like I said here recently, some have come in from Yugoslavia. Okay, there's no embargo against them as far as I know. There are several retailers that sell magazines. The 8-shot ones are easy to get. I bought a few of them actually. I got one in this gun here, in the Romanian gun, because it only came with 1 mag. And I think I got these from Sarco, made in Taiwan or something. I believe I got these repro mags from Sarco, because you have to have a minimum order with them. I wanted to order a part, and then it's like, oh, you must spend X amount of money, so I got a couple spare mags from them to get the order up. And you know, they will fit in the 8-shot versions, I believe, in all of them. I can go test that out later. So the Yugo ones, I don't know the 9-shot mags, how available they are, or how much of a problem we'll be getting them, because the little short ones kind of, well, they do go in. Yeah, but see, it's not long enough, it's not catching the slide. So the short ones ain't going to help you out. And then the long ones, I guess, will fit in. Yep. Will fit in the standard ones, but they protrude a little. So that's going to be your problem. And it's like anything. Mags, I don't know why mags are so hard to find anymore. And even the repro ones are that. Some of them don't work that well. Alright, so that's a look at my T-33 Tokarev collection as it is. I got 3 variants in the 7.62 by 25. I really don't know if I had the time or funds to get 9mm versions. I know I could probably pick up an M70A and an M88 somewhere fairly easily. Chinese ones are tough to find. There are a lot of them out there, but people want money for them. Okay, that's the thing. Romanian ones were coming in till a few years ago, but I don't know if that's dried up. So it's kind of hit or miss if you're looking for these, but you can find them on the secondary market, not so much from a person, but you really got to want them and be prepared to pay a little bit more for them. But they're reliable guns, and all the ones I had have all shot fairly accurately with, you know, military surplus ammo. The round is quite powerful. But again, the days of getting low-cost ammo by the case, you know, I don't know about that anymore. And like I said, I have not reloaded. But I hope you enjoyed the video and like taking a look at my pistols.